Hello my valued viewer, and welcome to Metal Gear Solid 2. We're doing the big boss run in this video, but unlike other challenge run videos which just simply ask some redundant question that's extremely obvious, like is it possible to beat Metal Gear Solid 2 with the big boss rank? Of course it's possible, we don't need to watch the video to figure out that. We're going to be asking a different question, and that's if it's possible for you to learn the hardest run for any particular game. The hardest challenge in the Metal Gear series is usually the Big Boss rank, and this is actually the hardest rank in the entire series in MGS2. So in this series we're going to be looking at the time it takes to learn a particular run, some of the skills you need to actually execute things, and some of the resources you might need. Today we're going to be looking at Metal Gear Solid 2's Big Boss run, like I mentioned before. Now you may be asking, what is the Big Boss run and why is it the most difficult challenge in the entire series? So for MGS2, unlike other games, you can't really use cheats and there's not really a loophole. In the normal Metal Gear Solid, you can actually go into the Japanese version of the game and it doesn't really have any other difficulty modes that you need to do other than literally easy. The default setting is easy for the game and you can get the Big Boss rank on easy mode. In MGS3, on a New Game Plus file, you can keep all the camos you've already unlocked, and you have access to the Patriot and other good items. In MGS4, you keep all the Drebin points and have access to all of the weapons in the game, and all of the other games are not really worth mentioning. But in Metal Gear Solid 2, not only is there no New Game Plus feature or loophole, you actually have more requirements than any other run in the entire series. So the Big Boss run in Metal Gear Solid 2 requires, like usual, no extra alerts other than the mandatory ones. This means you should have 3 by the end of the game. It adds the guard rush alert during the sniper section of the game, which is very late in the game. And the other 2 mandatory alerts are the 2 Tengu fights that you and Raiden, and Snake fight together in. And those are the 3 mandatory alerts for the game. If you get any other ones, sometimes they are silent alerts, meaning that it doesn't really tell you, but it counted as an alert. A guy saw you in the distance, womp womp. That also counts as well. You cannot get any kills because you have non-lethal methods of taking people out. So drones you still have to shoot down and stuff, cameras too. But for any people, you have to trank them. Or if you get an accident kill by knocking people off a cliff, that also does not count as a kill on the kill count. You can always check all these stats on the game over menu, but the real requirement, there's also like you can't take more than 400 points of damage, or you can't shoot more than 700 shots. There's also the 8 save limit. You can only save 8 times in this entire game, so we're going to naturally be breaking this video down into those sections. This is not going to be the full run. If you do want to see a full run, I'll have my full run of this, which is extremely edited, in the description, but also you can find other people doing it much better than me anyway out there. This video will primarily look at how do you prepare for this run and what are some of the things I need to know in order to beat it. So it won't go in depth in every strategy, but it'll be the most interesting things if you do want to gain a better appreciation for speedrunners or other challenge runners within the Metal Gear series. That being said, let's get into our first section of the video, which is, of course, the prep time. Now, we're going to be like Batman, and with enough prep time, we can defeat any foe. In this case, there's quite a lot of prep time. The Big Boss run is usually around 2 hours if you're a filthy casual like me. But that's 2 hours of perfect play. For the prep time, I watched 2 videos. One by Perfect Stealth, which was 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'll have that linked in the description. And Speedrun, which was 1 hour and 15 minutes, which I will also have linked in the description, but you can find any speedrun. In fact, there are much faster ones. This one was done at GDQ, so it's just like more advertised on YouTube. In total, this was 3 hours of more passive time, meaning you could just eat dinner or something while watching these and get all the information you need. In fact, I recommend, if you want to emulate either of these things, I recommend probably the Perfect Stealth video, because the speedrun goes into some of the more difficult to execute techniques, including an unnecessary skip later into the game, or about halfway through the game actually. But the Perfect Stealth video, you can kind of just watch section by section if you want to go through one section at a time and learn it. I found it helpful to watch both videos and then go through a normal playthrough executing most of the strategies. I didn't actually time myself, but I said it took around 4 hours for the playthrough, which I think is an overestimate. I don't think it took 4 hours. The playtime said 2 hours, but we'll say in total the prep time took me 7 hours. This is assuming that I've already beaten the game casually. And I know that's kind of against the point of the video, but I can't change that I beat the game 2 years ago. So 7 hours of prep time if you include everything. The normal playthrough of the game, executing the strategies that you got from the 2 videos that I watched. You don't need to watch both if you don't want to, and you can choose as much prep time as you want, but as an inexperienced person, I found these 7 hours to be extremely helpful. I also highly recommend looking at the control manual, because I did not, and that'll be a problem later. Just look into the control manual. Some of the very basic controls can be extremely helpful, especially because they do account for the fact that some of them were meant for the original PS2 controller, and they have alternatives for the newer ones. So now we get into the actual run of the game. After our 7 hours of prep time, we get into the tanker section. Now, some sections of the tanker are extremely boring, but there are 3 main hurdles in the tanker. For the most part, you can just run past guards, and we abused in the run, I at least did. The radio system in MGS2 makes it so that enemies need to actually call in alerts before you get an alert. If you trank an enemy before they call in, it doesn't count as an alert. So it's very helpful to keep these things in mind. I use this to my advantage by several times knocking an enemy down or out completely and just running past them before they can call in. Or if somebody finds me, if they don't call in fast enough, I can just leave the loading zone. So oftentimes I leave loading zones to either reload rooms or make it so that they don't have enough time to call in, because all enemies reset once you leave the room. So the 3 kind of hurdles of this section are the Olga fight. There is a way to cheese it. Again, that's in the perfect stealth video. If you go about 1 snake to the right and a snake and a half down from that crack in the boxes, you can usually just shoot at Olga's leg. You can just peek through the crack in the boxes and shoot at her leg as she runs past for pretty much the whole fight. And you can usually get her down to just 1 or 2 shots left before she goes into the final phases. But I didn't get that in my winning attempt. I actually had to fight her normally, and then I did the little box cheese strat. But yeah, you cheese her and 1 or 2 other bosses in this run pretty hard, and that's because we're on extreme difficulty with no radar. We don't have game over on alert, like I said. We have the radio system to fall back on, but extreme difficulty, she kills you in 2 shots, and most things will kill us very quickly as well. As for the other parts of the tanker, we just kind of go through, trank a bunch of guys in the boiler room, trank the guy on the radio as he comes into the explosives room. We take out the explosives and get to the the guard rush. The guard rush is probably, it's one of the harder sections of the game, quite honestly, just because you have to aim so quickly and make sure that you're not getting shot. In this section, it's very helpful to sometimes wait until they're done with their bursts, but also just know the general placements of where everybody's heads can be. There are only like 3 or 4 spots that enemies will actually be, so just knowing where they are, taking those headshots, and also if you miss the headshot and hit them elsewhere, just wait and dodge bullets and grenades until they fall asleep. And for the ending portion of the game, I do a strategy where instead of running up and beating guys up, I go to the back left corner of the room, and as the 3 last guys funnel in, I just shoot them as they walk towards me. and that's the end of the guard rush. Then we get to the Marine presentation. Now the presentation rooms are pretty stressful, as this is now a game over on site. So yeah, you got to be extremely careful in here. It's best to take things slow and not be too risky. If you need to, you don't need to do a roll or anything underneath the projector. For the second room, this is the big challenge. You need to switch the projector to the right side. And the strategy I found to be helpful is to hold up the first 3 guards that you try and sneak past. So I held up 3 guards. I went into first person, and then I also changed to the item menu to make sure that I did not release the X button or whatever the shoot button is before putting down my weapon, because I don't have the pressure sensors on an Xbox controller. So I just held up 3 guards, and you have to keep moving during this section. And I also held up one of the other guys as I passed by, because there are also several guards patrolling. But those are kind of the 3 big challenges of the tanker, and I recommend studying those at the time, because other than that, the tanker is extremely free, and even the next section is too. But yeah, if you are familiar with the controls, there's one control that would have been helpful in that last section, and will be helpful for the Fatman fight. I'll leave that for the later part of the video though. As we gain control of Raiden, when we get to the big shell, we go into the first room, and the first room with enemies is actually the only challenge before we get to take our first save. I decided to save when we talk to Stillman, so I get past the cutscenes, and that's just pretty standard, I believe. So when the guards wake up, I go to the bottom right, and I do one of the true combos of the game, which is if you can start to choke an enemy out, you can start to choke them out, then you can go into first person, look down, wait until they recover a little bit, and you can just punch, and it clips your hand through their crotch, and they get knocked out immediately. It's crotch punch or groin punch, whatever you prefer. Then we just distract a guard and run past them immediately. As long as we're near the elevator when the cutscene starts, the guards don't have enough time to actually radio in and cause alert, so that's the only hard room there. So the other parts before our save are kind of not worth mentioning. So for this first section of the game, which is our first save now, the tanker section took 1 hour and 50 minutes, so now we're at a total of 8 hours and 50 minutes. And now we get to do one of the more fun parts of the game, and that's the bomb disposal. So the bomb disposal part is the actual stealth portion of the game. You just run throughout and you defuse a bunch of bombs. Pretty self-explanatory. There's only 2 or 3 parts that are worth mentioning. One is another crotch punch near strut A, and you gotta knock out a guard and throw him into a locker. Those are fun parts of the disposal, but there are also some more difficult parts, I guess. One of the other parts worth mentioning is strut F. The strut F warehouse is one of the more difficult struts, I guess, to some people. I don't know why. It's kind of just fun to me. We have the coolant spray now, which allows us to do a true combo, which is the coolant spray, which stuns guards, and then we can follow that up with choking them out, and then doing our crotch punch setup. And then, after we get the M9 tranquilizer, I reset the room, and we can just trank all the guards in the facility. I think that's a really fun room. The hardest part, the final boss of this section, is the EF connecting bridge. That's the one with the claymores and stuff. You gotta make sure that you throw a chaff grenade right away, wait till it goes off, and immediately start running. Pick up that first claymore and start running along the right side rail. The reason I say this is the final boss. I'll reveal that in a minute once I'm done explaining the last room, but this is really a critical strut, because if you mess up even a little bit, a claymore can just go off and it's an automatic alert because, an explosive just went off. The next room is strut E, and strut E is the warehouse one. This is actually pretty challenging, and there's some timing things in this. You gotta walk immediately out of the doorway, trank the first guard to your left, walk a little bit to the left, get on your tippy toes, trank the next 2 guards, and then trank the guard immediately in front of you who just walked there, and it's gonna notice you in 2 seconds. Then you gotta shoot out all 3 cameras, and I choose to reload the room. After reloading the room, I come back in, I grab the box, which is overpowered because it's Metal Gear, and I crawl underneath the conveyor belt for a stun grenade. Stun grenades are pretty helpful. That'll be helpful for the very last section of the game, which is the part where most people struggle a lot. I did not actually, somehow. So the weird part about this room is that the bomb is actually on one of the boxes on the conveyor belt, so you gotta just time things correctly. I use this location, that's why I reloaded the room, because I'm not fast enough. So I just defuse the bomb there and get on my way. The last room is the strut D sediment pool, and that's extremely hard. if you don't just trank all the guards right away. I just choose to trank all the guards and then start running, defusing all the bombs, and that's that room. Then we go back to strut, what is it, C? Yeah, I guess it's C where we first met Stillman. We gotta get the sensor B, and then run back to strut A to do the fortune fight, which is not much of a fight. It's just we sit there with a box, running back and forth. I'm not gonna waste your time with that. After that, we get to our next save by going back through the strut F, what is it, warehouse, storehouse, whatever it is. We go through strut F, get to the top of strut E, very carefully for both with similar strategies, and we save as soon as we get into the Fatman fight. So this is where disaster struck. After an hour, which is all it took for me to go through the disposal part of the game, I realized I got a silent alert. But it wasn't just after the hour of completing the disposal part. I played another hour or so of the Fatman fight, meaning I just kind of wasted time. So I wasted an hour.
Right, what's wrong?
This kid just decided to move so slow. Why does it say alert number 1? Wait, what's... If you do watch my full run of the Big Boss run, you'll notice that at the end of this section, I save and then immediately run off the cliff. That's because I checked the stats menu. Like I mentioned earlier, you can check all your stats by game overing. So you can check your alert number on the alert number section. It should be 0 until we get to the sniper section of the game. You can check the neutralization one. Neutralization is supposed to be lethal neutralizations, meaning that that's your kill count. And then there's also the damage number. Prudence is how many times you've saved. And also there's the shots taken one, which I don't even remember what it's called. So after the first 3 sections of our game, we're a quarter of the way through the game, and we've spent 11 hours and 20 minutes so far. Now, this is going to be the longest section because I made it too long for you. For you, it'll be extremely fast if you listen to these 3 simple tips. So, tip number 1 for Fatman. Yeah, it was just Fatman this whole time. There was nothing more. That was the difficult part. So with Fatman, you can actually double hit him. To knock down Fatman, you'd shoot him 6 times with any actual weapon, so like a SOCOM. I think that's the only one you have access to at this point. You can shoot him 6 times. He falls over, and when he falls over, you can use switch. For this run, I chose to use the switch item selection instead of unequip, because switch just helps you with this and the Harrier fight a lot more. When he gets knocked down, you can switch to the M9 tranquilizer, and you can aim at his head. Now, don't shoot immediately, but wait until the red dot appears on his head, and then you can shoot him, and then hit him again because he doesn't take any type of knockback until a moment after he's vulnerable again. So you can actually get 2 double shots, or you can get a double hit on him, if you just wait for the red dot to appear on his head. So the second tip is that when he plants bombs, he'll run around, plant all the bombs. He can defuse them as he goes. You can. And when it gets to the last bomb, he's going to camp out that last bomb. And if you draw out his fire, it's actually really efficient to just do a 1-2 kick combo, which does non-lethal damage. So that helps you progress through the fight. And it just stuns him while you defuse the bomb. You might be able to get a shot off too. I found that to be extremely helpful, since now you don't have to waste any ammo, because conserving SOCOM ammo is a big part of this fight. And the last tip, which I did not follow in my winning attempt, nor did I follow in the tanker section, because I didn't do my prep time right. I didn't know the controls. You can just hold in the left bumper and just run around and follow him and shoot him the whole time. You don't need to stop in order to shoot. So just hold in LB. You can hold up enemies using LB. You can shoot at enemies using LB. Just hold LB to run and shoot. I did not. that made the fight 9 times harder than it had to. That's the main barrier for this section. The only other difficult parts were, I mean, there were a couple. One's the EF connecting bridge. You just gotta run past, shoot one of the drones as you run by, and it's not really worth mentioning the next part because you get a disguise. When you gotta go talk to Ames, after you figure out who he is, just don't run when you're going through the legs of the hostages because they can trip you. Yeah, I game overed on that. Yeah. The next section is not too crazy. You just gotta use a chaff grenade after you get out of the elevator, and you gotta just trank all the guys. And then when you get out, you just shoot out all the drones and trank the guy in the tower. Then you can go through strut F or strut E and D to get to the what is it, BH connecting bridge? I don't know. The strut 1-2 connecting bridge, which is where our next save is. So this section of the game was the longest, taking 3 hours 15 minutes because I didn't know how to fight Fatman. Do your prep time right. And now we got a total of 14 hours and 35 minutes, and we are almost halfway through the game. So some of the skills you probably have just learned throughout this are just basic timing. Most of the things in this game are just on time. There is a little bit of a buffer system if you've noticed some of the CQC combos. I did not notice till later. But a lot of it is just making sure you're timing things right. Even if you're not super quick with things, timing is the biggest skill in this game by far. And just having a little bit of knowledge of the controls. Now, we can finally get to my wheelhouse. That is being an aggressive masher. You see, now we get to the first sniper section of the game where you just take out all the sensors for the bombs that are planted. It's not worth mentioning. Just hit all the sensors. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Look at that editing montage. Future me, go. Now we get the Harrier fight. The Harrier fight is the first fight that everything is a one-shot in. Or, not everything. There's the Gatling gun attack, I guess, but the missiles are certainly a one-shot. As soon as we get in the fight, we just do our couple shots, and we try and hit him in the middle. Hitting him in the middle of the plane does the most amount of damage, so it's very cool. But there are two things that I needed to know for this fight, and that's just knowing when I can attack, and how to avoid all of his attacks. So he has two kind of like general ways of attacking you. Usually there's one other, but he'll usually fly out and then come in with either missiles or a Gatling gun. You can tell if he's going to use the missiles because if he uses the missiles, he'll say, "I'll let you go out in style," which is a fun line. Any other time he's flying out and then in towards you, he's using the Gatling gun, and you can only shoot at him once while he's flying towards you. If he says, "I'll let you go out in style," you can actually fire twice before hiding behind any cover. So you can hide behind cover pretty much this whole fight. When he flies over you with the carpet bombs or whatever, you can just kind of do a flippy flip over the rail and be completely safe. And there are two other attacks which you can dodge it in one of two ways, but I cheese him. So there's the missile attack, which he just is hovering right in front of you and he's just shooting missiles, bombarding you with everything he's got, the whole payload. And you can just take out your SOCOM or even your M9 tranquilizer, lean against a wall with no back to it, or lean against a railing or something that you can shoot over, and as long as you're holding backwards you can, and pressing against the wall, you can just shoot. And while you do the turnaround shot, you have iframes. Just make sure that you don't fire the next shot until Raiden goes back to turn again, or else you're just going to waste a ton of ammo and you're actually going to be vulnerable. So you just kind of shoot, let him flip, shoot, let him flip, and it's extremely easy and you just have iframes the whole time. The other one's the Gatling gun thing. You can just kind of hide in this spot right there, and that's fine. So this is the first fight where you just got to know your opportunities to attack, and you got to just dodge everything. It's an extremely fun fight. I think it's underrated. And the rest of the section, I'm not even going to mention because it just not worth it. Like, there's nothing really interesting. You just go along the outside of the struts. You go save the president. Oh, he's dead. You go try and save Emma, and then Vamp shows up. And you save right when Vamp shows up. Or at least I did. So for the Harrier section, it only took an hour and a half to get to there. Now things are getting actually more easy. Like, I'm getting the hang of things. And I think our total's now, 16 hours, 5 minutes. So we've had our shortest section yet being an hour and 30 minutes. And our next section will be even shorter. It's going to get easier from here. So the way to cheese Vamp is pretty simple. You can just kind of lean over the ledge into the water. When Vamp comes near you, you can pull yourself back up from the water. You have iframes there like usual. And as long as you're like inside of his model, he'll go down and do his knife attack, which will do a ton of damage to you, unless if you just run away and then come back. In the meantime, in between attacks, you can just punch him. Make sure it's only a 1-2 combo and you don't do the kick, or else it'll knock Vamp away. It'll do a lot of damage, but he'll get reset, and then he'll start jumping on all the railings and throwing a ton of knives at you, which do a crap ton of damage. And if he throws the multiple knives, those don't actually proc any iframes, and they can all hit you and kill you in one shot. So, yeah, just do the cheese strat. This is an infinite loop as long as you do the 1-2 combo correctly. Just remember, it's a buffer system. So, don't listen to Raiden's attacks. Just kind of go 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Don't listen to what he's doing, because no matter what he's doing at different speed, he's just going to go, Just do like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And make sure there's a pause that you do yourself. Don't let the audio mess you up, and that will make Vamp extremely easy. So don't get overly aggressive, just kind of bully him. And Vamp's pretty self-explanatory. We grab Emma, and the Emma section is just so easy. You swim back through the section you just did. I mean, before you grab Emma, I guess you grab the body armor so that you don't get melted later, because the body armor is pretty necessary for this run. You'll see why later. But yeah, we grab Emma, swim back. We just kind of trank guards that cause any problems. And then we get to the sniper section, which is our next save. So we are well over halfway through the game. The Emma section only took me 40 minutes because it's really easy. Just a little bit slow because you had to pull Emma along with you, but the Vamp fight is so free. The Emma section, there's only a couple guards to worry about, and it's very low stress. But the sniper section is just so boring and long that it did take me another 55 minutes to do the sniper section. So the sniper section, it's not really worth mentioning. You can watch a guide on it, but you just gotta make sure you're taking out the guards before they see Emma, and you know where all the ciphers are and all the claymores are, so that you can just make sure they don't catch her. If she takes a little bit of damage, that's fine, I guess. But if she takes too much, just reload. I didn't know how to do the Vamp fight correctly. The way to start the Vamp fight is just run over to where the ammo for the PSG-1T is. Make sure you're on that box, and you just keep shooting at him, preferably his legs. And the legs, you can just rapid fire mash between his left and right legs the whole time, as long as they're the opposite one of where Emma is, and you're done. That's the whole thing. The sneaking section is extremely easy. It's barely worth mentioning. You just got to make sure the EF connecting bridge is, again, good, because now the panels that you had to flip across, those are gone from earlier, so you got to just flip across them again. That's just an extra little annoyance that can kill you there. And then once we get to the Jejunum room, which is the one where like the kernel starts glitching out, we do our next save. Now the next room is not noteworthy for two reasons. One, because like Raiden's butt is showing, I guess, but also because it's actually a lot easier than I thought. The Jejunum in the next room are absolutely free, and I actually make it so that Tengu 1 is pretty free too. And I'm going to teach you how to do this next section pretty consistently. You can watch a guide for the other sections, but again, the sniper section of the run only took 55 minutes. This next section, I'm going to add an extra hour or two because I played it when I was sick for like maybe an hour, but I didn't really want to show any of that footage because I shouldn't have been playing. Like, I was just not capable of doing anything. But I beat the next section in 2 tries the following day. And there's a very, very easy strategy to do so. So after you meet up with Snake, there's only like one aerial you had to do right, the flippy flip across that one platform in that first room. You meet with Snake. Once the shootout begins, just go to the back of the room. Don't even engage with anybody. Use the pentazamine, equip the body armor, and snipe everyone with the PSG-1T or whatever it is. You can just trank everybody, and you can use the M9 if you run out of ammo. You can just cheese them. After you cheese the first wave of enemies, grab those stun grenades from earlier and start throwing them as you run along. Just watch this footage and emulate it. And you can trank everybody. I got through this entire section only getting shot once. But this is the part of the game where a lot of speedruns die. This room and the next. You'll see why in the next, but this room, I made it extremely consistent. We do the Tengu skip, which is a speedrun skip, where you can press against the door at the end of the room once all the enemies are stunned. And if your back is to the wall, you can let go of the wall if you want. You can do the 1-2 kick combo, and when Raiden starts flipping around, you have to make sure you're in first person mode. When Raiden flips around and your whole camera starts to turn around, just let go of first person mode and hold either down or up, and you do the skip. You just enter the next room. You clip through the door, and you get in the Tengu 2 fight. Tengu 2 fight, just go to the side where Snake's not on, and pull out your sword. Make sure the high frequency blade is on the non-lethal side by pressing X, and just whack each enemy 3 times, and they're done. And that's the hardest section of the game down. That took me an hour and 35 minutes if we include all the time, but it really only took me 2 tries. It's really, really easy if you know what you're doing. Hopefully this helped in some way. So you just gotta be able to be calm in the difficult situation, and again, know your timings. This entire game so far has just been timings and opportunities. And taking advantage of the timings and opportunities in this entire game, that's all you need to know. If you know your timings, you know how to do the big boss. So, we're now done with our Tengu section. Now we're at 19 hours and 15 minutes total for playtime. And we're at the part of the game where most people quit. This is the part of the game that, it's like the one part of the game where I was like, I'm not quitting no matter what. Like, it is an extremely fun fight. The 20 Metal Gear Rays is one of the most iconic parts of the entire series, quite honestly, because it's just so random and so like baffling. But I'm not gonna go in depth in the startup strategy because you can watch a guide for that. But generally for this fight, how you beat it, you need to just, surprise, surprise, be aware of your opportunities and be aware of your timings and spacing. Just spacing as well. Most attacks in this fight one-shot you. The Rays at the outside of the arena usually shoot their little missile attacks. They can use the Gatling gun and laser as well. They probably won't. But the missiles from above, you'll hear them lock on. You can just run either left or right, or you can just do a little flippy flip to dodge all of them when they're nearby. But the Ray in the center is kind of the most present threat. He has the most attacks available. He can stomp you if he's nearby, and stomps one-shot you. Surprise, surprise, you're on extreme. You have the body armor on, so there is one move that won't one-shot you. That's not the laser. The laser is what he does if you're kind of close to him and his head is lined up with you. You'll know if he's using the move if he just kind of snaps his head to you. When he does this, if a Ray does this, do a flippy flip immediately or start running to the left or right immediately. You got to make sure you go to the left or right with either a flippy flip or just normal running, or you instantly die no matter what. And it's a very fast attack that you always have to be aware of. The other attacks, next we're going to go to the other immediately, like you're dead attack, and that is the knee missile. If you're really, really far away from the rays, they shoot out the knee missiles and they one-shot you. The way to dodge this, you have to do a full flippy flip to the right, sometimes to the right and a little in as you run across. Here's a clip of it. And you got to make sure that after the flippy flip, you hold in the A button still. I'm using Xbox. Sorry, PlayStation enjoyers. You got to do the flippy flip into prone, and then sometimes, usually, you end up dodging the knee missiles. The attack we want to see is the Gatling gun. There's also the random trance, they do the screech, which is a good opportunity for attack as well. But the Gatling gun is the move we want to bait out. We gotta go really close to the ray, but not close enough that he does the laser. So it might be worth it to try and figure out what his laser range is and die a couple times to figure out where you want to be for the Gatling gun. Because you do want to be relatively close to them, because the knee missiles will one-shot. But you got to be close enough for the Gatling gun. The way to dodge this, you can literally just back up, or you can back up and do a little loop into where the line of fire is that he's shooting, and you'll be completely fine. Those are all the attacks in there. You want to pretty much just bait out the Gatling gun the whole time, and the rays get stun locked if you shoot them in the leg. So you always want to make sure that in between the attacks that the middle ray does, you just shoot one at their leg, one at their head, and while the rays are down in the middle, you can also shoot one, maybe two at the side rays, and that'll be extremely helpful for the fight. And it's extremely helpful to just shoot one missile out at each of the rays at the side every once in a while, as long as you know when your opportunities to attack are and how you can dodge all the attacks. If you know those two things, just your timings and your opportunities, if you stay calm, you'll win the fight. This was an extremely fun part of the game. It did take me 2 hours and 45 minutes of it, although it didn't feel like that. It was actually extremely fun. It's a little challenging, but once you get the timings down and know the opportunities, you win. So that's the ray section of the game. After the 2 hours 45 minutes, we have a total of 22 hours. 22 hours? Is that right? Did I do my math wrong? I might have done my math wrong. I'll correct myself later, but not redo the voice because I don't care. So you may be wondering, the race took almost 3 hours. How long is the final boss gonna take? Well, first off, I actually saved before the torture scene because I didn't want to take any risks, and I was really excited because I beat the rays. Knowing that Solidus was gonna be like a one or two try guy, like I knew I'd lose to him probably, but he's extremely easy. He took me 15 minutes and 2 tries. Solidus, you can kind of just make sure you block his attacks with LB and just punch him to death. Like it's another, hey, you gotta know your opportunities and timings type thing, and that's Metal Gear Solid 2's hardest run. That's the series difficult run right there. So I hope you enjoyed the video. In total, we took 23 hours and 15 minutes to beat Metal Gear Solid 2 and master the game. The prep time took the longest with 7 hours. The next longest was Fatman's section with 3 hours 15 minutes. That could have been decreased by a crap ton if we just knew the controls. So yeah, in total, 23 hours, 15 minutes. A lot of the sections, when I knew what I was doing and I knew my opportunities and timing for everything in the game, it was really easy. And if you're aware of those two, you can get through this run very easy. Again, I recommend that guide down below, the Perfect Stealth Guide. It's very, very good. And I also recommend checking out some Metal Gear Solid speed runs and other challenge runs because some of them are very, very interesting. And you can kind of get an idea of some of the skills people need to know for these challenge runs and also the time people put into it. Again, I hope this was enjoyable for you to watch. If you like this kind of format, let me know in the comments. If you have any recommendations for it, let me know in the comments. And if there's a challenge run that you would like to see, give me something hard, and I'll try and learn it in the comments. I especially play Terraria, Hollow Knight, some things like that. And the next one I have cooking up is actually a completely different, a completely different genre game. But thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and may God bless you today and forever. See ya.